What is down, everybody? It's your main course, Little Pancake, and welcome back to another video. Today is our Halloween special. It's going to release on Halloween, but I've got a very special video planned today. So I need you to go ahead and grab a cup of coffee, cup of tea, cup of blood, whatever you're into. I don't know. Sit back, get cozy, maybe a little blanket on, maybe not if it's hot. Maybe a little air condition turned up, depending on where you're at. And relax, because we're going into a interesting field of... I don't know where I'm going. I'm going to tell a story. But first, I have to get into character. It is I, the great and powerful Duke of Mayonnaise. Rise up. This was $2. I couldn't not get it. I mean, it fits me perfectly. Yeah, I'm cousins with King Arthur, so I'm a pretty big deal. This was also $2, and so is it. This was like a $6 costume. Any hoodly doodly. Today, I'm going to be telling a story. Now, you're probably thinking, ooh, he's going to tell a spooky story, and you would be correct. Most people, when they tell a story, they think of the story beforehand. Maybe sometimes write it down. The Duke of Mayonnaise is not into those plebeian tactics. I am going to be telling this story just off the dome. Alright? A lot of people think that night helmets are just used for protection. No, they're actually thinking caps. So this will greatly assist me in the creation of this story. So, I don't know what this story is going to be about. I don't know how long it's going to be. I don't know if it's going to be super scary or just kind of scary or scary funny or just dumb, but we will find out together. To start off, our main character, the scariest thing of all. A woman. I know. It's I'm going deep, all right? A female. Someone of the opposite gender. But don't worry, we're not getting so scary that we're gonna talk to her or something. No. There once was a woman. Notice I say once as in past tense. It's called foreshadowing. Learned that in English class. A young lady, about 22 years of age, stood about 5'7", blonde hair, brown eyes, quite an odd combination, an athletic build, She played volleyball, which was odd considering her height, but she was actually quite good at it. She did not go to college. She found herself a man. An accountant, actually. Not extreme gold digging, he's not a multi-millionaire, but he pays the bills and they love each other. Or at least they thought they did. Anywho, they got married at 21. Quite odd. Considering her family, nobody before her had been married before 27. They thought they were true love. They had known each other since 16. They were high school sweethearts. I mean, it's 6 years together almost before. 5 years they spent dating before they got married. It was plenty of time. Been married for a year now. So for their 1-year anniversary, they decided to go camping. Now her husband, name's Todd. Very masculine for an accountant. That is, stocky build, about 240, 6'2", big man, big hunk of a man. They decided to go camping for their 1-year anniversary. They both liked the outdoors. They didn't spend too much time out there, but any chance they could, they spent it outside together. Obviously, when you go camping, you have to go to Wisconsin, because where else would you go, right? In the middle of winter. This was not a well-planned trip. They go to Wisconsin, January 32nd. Oh my god. This was going so well. January 30th. Are there 30 days in January? I don't even know. How many days are in January? January 24th. That's definitely in January. They get there. -2 degrees. All they have is a tent and the clothes they're wearing. And a little bit of food, of course, and a campfire, and, average camping things. They get to their camping spot, they settle up, they get this tent put up. It's getting dark now. It's about 6 o'clock. Right at that dusk area. They get huddled up in their tent. They realize it's a little cold, right? A little too cold for their liking. So they call up the the owner of the campground. Now, the owner of the campground is not a very nice guy, just judging by this phone call. Kind of rude to him, kind of snippety, which I can't say that I blame him due to the booking a camping trip in Wisconsin in January, but nonetheless, he could have been nicer. But he told them that there's a cabin that they could go to if they get too cold, right? They were ill prepared. And so they said, well, how do we get to this cabin? Where's this cabin at? Log cabin, which actually logs cabins hold heat very well, if you didn't know. So they get in there, turn the fireplace, get going. They'll be fine for the night. The guy says, you just gotta follow the trail. East Tiger Trail is the name of the trail. Just follow that all the way down to the lake. And there's a cabin right on the side of the lake. You'll be able to see it from the trail. So they say, epic, let's do this, boy. And so they get going. They start walking down the trail. They left their tent and everything there. They figured they'll be back the next morning. By the time they get to the cabin, it's about 7:30. It was about an hour-long walk, which is a lot. So they get to the cabin. It's very, very old looking, right? It's very ominous looking. Lake's frozen over. Got a solid 3 inches of ice on it. The cabin's very, very odd looking, very weird. That just something seems off. It's a different color than it should be. It smells weird. Just everything's just a little bit off from the point of view of our main character and her husband. They go inside. Door opens up, very creaky, little type door, They go in, there's cobwebs. It's very obvious that nobody has been in this cabin in a long time. Years, perhaps. But they get over to the fireplace. It's got wood in it, which is very odd. But they're not going to complain because now they don't have to go find wood in the dark. So, light a match, get the fireplace going. Room heats up like that, very, very quickly. And they're like, they like this. This is good. They decide, well, let's look around the cabin a little bit, hey? Let's explore. It's a pretty big cabin. Not huge, not a mansion, but it's got a couple rooms. So they start going through the rooms. They find a bedroom. They find the kitchen. They find another bedroom. And in the last room, they open up the door to it. There's nothing in the room. It's completely empty, which they thought, of course, was odd. There's no bed. There's no couch. There's just nothing in the room. Completely empty. All except for a small rug in the middle. Todd, the husband, he's played his fair share of video games to know that there is probably something under that rug. So he walks over and picks up the rug, to the disagreement of his wife. Wife's scared, she's not out of her skin scared, she's not shaking in her boots, but she's frightened slightly. But Todd, he's a big man, he can fight, She doesn't feel unsafe. Pulls off the rug. So much dust flies in the air, it's crazy. They both begin to cough, and there's a trap door, of course, as Todd expected from his extensive video game experience. It's got a lock on it, padlock, a new padlock, which is very out of place for this cabin. It looks like there hasn't been anyone there for years. Brand new padlock, master lock, which they find very odd, of course, as you would. They figured, well, someone's got to be hiding something in there. Our main character says, well, let's just not mess with it. Let's just, back up, reevaluate, reassess, and skedaddle. Okay, now Todd is a very curious person. His common sense is lacking. So he says, no, we gotta figure this out. Our main character goes, well, maybe we should just call the authorities. Maybe call the cops, be like, hey, there's something goofy going on over here, Todd goes, he rattles the padlock, right, just to see if it's unlocked, and it is. To both of their disbelief, nobody locked it. This brand new padlock on here, unlocked. He just gives it a little shake, and it pops right off. Well, now they're both very confused. Todd says, well, I guess we open the trap door now. of course, to our main character's disapproval, he opens the door. And it's a very, very small room underneath with nothing in it. Small ladder leading down, nothing but cobwebs and a mouse. Single mouse. Nothing out of the ordinary for a dusty basement led to by a trapdoor. You know, it's typical stuff. Todd says, I'm gonna go down in there. So he does. He goes down. He's snooping and sniffing around. Doesn't find anything. Turns around to go back up, and the trapdoor closes. He thinks this is just his lovely wife playing a prank on him. So he, hey, open the door, come on, that's not funny. But no response. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So he climbs up the ladder, starts banging on the door. Hey, let me out. Still no response. Nothing. He's starting to get worried that maybe something happened to his wife and someone else may have locked him in this basement. But he bangs harder. He hits harder on the door. He continues, he persists, till eventually the wood breaks free. He's hit so hard his knuckles are bleeding. He's screaming. The wood breaks free, and he busts out from under the trapdoor to find that his wife is missing. She's gone, completely. She's not there. Nobody's there. The lock is back on the trapdoor. He starts running around the building frantically, running around the cabin, trying to find his wife. And he can't. She's not there. He can't find her anywhere. Nowhere to be found. She's gone. Disappeared. Kapoof. Alakazam, alakazoo, no more you. So he's running around, he's trying to find her, nothing, and he sees a footprint. Now this is obviously not his wife's footprint. This is a large human's footprint at the front door, going out. Now there were no other footprints in the cabin. The cabin's very dusty, footprints are evident in the cabin, and there's no other footprints in the cabin except for one at the front door. And of course there's a thin layer of snow on the ground, being Wisconsin in January. Thin layer of snow, maybe 3 inches. No footprints outside in the snow, other than his and his wife's from when they walked in. Now he looks across the vast frozen lake and hears a scream. Seems like it's coming from the lake. He runs out, thinking that this may be his wife, screaming in the lake, yelling, crying for help. He runs out to the edge of the lake, looking for anything, any sign. And on the ice, he sees blood, or at least what he assumes to be blood. Could have been cranberry juice, we do not know. But what he assumes to be blood, he sees it. So he runs out on the lake. He runs out to the blood on the lake. Now this lake is not frozen over by much. The ice is not sturdy by any means. This is not safe to walk on. He runs out on the lake, frantically trying to figure out where this blood came from. And while he's on the lake, he looks back to the shore to see his wife standing there smiling. Looking at him, just smiling, just looks happy. Looks calm. Then he hears a scream again. The same scream he heard before, but it's not his wife, because his wife's standing right there. So he starts running back to the lake, but he's not moving. He's running, but he's not moving. It seems almost as if he's moving in the opposite direction as his wife, standing there still smiling. Then he hears a crack. It's the ice. The ice is falling under him, slowly cracking towards his feet. He stops trying to run. After getting nowhere, he sits down and yells at his wife to come to him and to save him. She's still just standing here smiling, so oddly, as soon as the ice breaks underneath of him and he plummets into the freezing lake, he sees a man behind his wife push her as her body falls lifelessly into the same lake that he meets his imminent doom in. That was pretty good. I felt like that was pretty good. That was pretty cool. That was nifty. That was neat. Yeah, so don't go into Wisconsin. This has been a story from the great Duke of Mayonnaise. I may return next year. I may not. We will see. But I hope that you all have a wonderful, spooky day today. Stay safe out there. Don't do drugs. Unless they're like Advil. Anywho, have a wonderful day, everyone. Stay safe. Stay spooky. Like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're not already. And I will see all of y'all later.